This week, Conflict Zone is in Berlin, where the German government is reviewing its own security procedures after the attacks in Paris last week. My guest is Michael Fuchs, vice chairman of the conservative parliamentary group in the Bundestag. With pressure mounting from politicians at home and in the rest of Europe, how long can Germany keep its doors open to migrants and refugees? Michael Fuchs, welcome to Conflict Zone.
Pleased to be together with you.
Paris changes everything, according to the Bavarian finance minister. The days of uncontrolled immigration and illegal entry just can't continue like that. You agree with him?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that's not my wordings. I think we have
So you're split already on the issue, politically split?
Well, we don't split. No, I think it's too fast to say this is splitting. We have different opinions, and opinions are, in a democracy, very normal, and different opinions, of course.
Well, President Hollande, who is in the hot seat, as you know, drew a direct comparison between what is happening and what happened in his country and the way the migrant issue is being handled. The ISIL strike, he said, will bring the return of walls and barbed wire to Europe unless borders are controlled. This could mean the dismantling of the EU. You couldn't get a starker warning, could you, from a man in a very difficult position at the moment about what is at stake here. The future of Europe is at stake here.
I think it's a dangerous situation. I fully agree with you. But first of all, you have to see who are the terrorists. It were French people, it's Belgian people with French and Belgian passports living for many years in the countries, speaking the language, and all of a sudden started to radicalize, went to Syria and came back as ISIS bombers. It's terrible, but you know, France has to investigate the situation, why all of a sudden their own citizens become so radical doing these kind of very terrible jobs. And I'm pretty much afraid that this has something to do...
Yeah, but he's talking about the borders. He's talking about this uncontrolled immigration, same as the Bavarian finance minister.
Can you please explain me? Germany has a border of 3,557 kilometers. How can we watch it? But it's not our border which is the problem. The borders are in Greece, the borders are in Italy, the borders are also in the Balkans. Because they are coming through all these kind of areas. They're not coming firstly to Germany, they're coming first to Greece and other countries. Then all of a sudden they come to us. What do you want us to do? If these people...
Well, it's not up to me, it's what President Hollande wants you to do. And here is the president of a country which is a founder of the European project,
yes,
who's warning in the starkest terms that this could lead to the dismantling of the EU. You don't seem to be taking this seriously.
No, I think, I mean, he has to, of course, I understand the situation is terrible at the moment and he's under extreme pressure in France, because France, he has to explain to the people why this happens always in France. France is a country where the refugees
are not going...
sort
out the borders or the EU is finished. The warning couldn't be clearer, could it?
We have to do something which is necessary. We have to do it at the source, because the problem is the source. If all these people are coming from Syria or even from Africa, we have to stop it there. It is not possible if once they are in the EU, how you want to do it. Because in the EU we have still free movement. I don't want to quit with Schengen, and I don't think Hollande wants it.
But what he's saying and what other Europeans are saying is that the migrant policy isn't going to work as it is being practiced at the moment. It's not going to work.
I think we have to find a solution for that, but it's only possible if we go to those countries where they are coming from, which is Turkey, which is Syria, Iraq, Iran, and maybe Afghanistan and Pakistan, and also, of course, Africa.
No, but I mean, Europe is now completely divided on this issue. I mean, you talk about the quotas that have been already agreed about Syrian refugees, for instance, going to Poland. The Polish government, the new Polish government, says it no longer feels bound by previous promises to take in refugees. In the face of the tragic acts in Paris, we do not see the political possibilities to implement it. It's only one of a number of countries now who are thoroughly rethinking their project and their policy towards the migrants in the light of the Paris attacks.
I mean, the light of the Paris attacks has changed things, but it is not true that these refugees are the reason for the Paris attacks. We shouldn't mix it, because I'm afraid
it's making people feel very vulnerable, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's not true. I mean, it's very simple. Why? This is French people doing this kind in France. I mean, this is all French people. And, of course, Belgium.
But look at the response. You've got the Bulgarian Prime Minister, Boyko Borisov, now saying that the EU has to reconsider its policy on migrants after the Paris attacks. Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden, all imposing border controls, tightening border controls. Slovenia and Austria, they're building walls. This is the reality of Europe at the moment, and it's only going to accelerate after the Paris attacks. You're standing on the edge saying, no, it's all fine, it's nothing to do.
So
it's nothing to do with the migrants coming in.
Of course, I'm not saying it has nothing to do with the situation. We have to control the migrants. We have to try to control the migrants. We are doing it already. We have kind of retaining camps next to the borders where we are trying to control it. But if they are already in Germany, they should have been controlled prior to come to Germany, because this is Greece, this is Macedonia, this is Slovenia, this is Austria. They're coming through other countries. All the guys coming via Italy into Germany. I mean, it's the Italians that have to do it. I mean, they don't do their homework.
You say you're controlling the migrants. Your own Federal Office for Migration and Refugees says that your entry procedures are not fit for purpose. The open letter by civil servants spoke of serious flaws in the procedures. It said that the discontinuation of identity checks has also facilitated infiltration by Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant terrorists into Europe. That's from your own federal office.
It is at the moment
we administering this policy.
We hired 3,000 new people in order to improve the control, because at the beginning we did not have even enough.
They're telling you in the clearest possible terms, these are the people who are charged by your government to do this work. They're telling you it doesn't work. The system is not fit for purpose.
It is not yet ready, that's true, because we do not have enough, simply not enough people, because nobody was expecting more than 10,000 people coming into Germany each and every day. And there's no other country which would be capable to manage it. And what do you want us to do? You want us to...
Well, you opened the doors. Your chancellor said everybody come in.
No,
so you
weren't, no.
So
she
you
did
weren't
not,
ready.
That's
so
not
you
fair
weren't
what you
ready.
say. That's
you
not
weren't
fair
ready
to her,
deal with this.
what you say. It's absolutely not fair, and I have to refuse it. I have to tell you one thing. She was saying, we are trying our very best, wir schaffen es, was the German word. We are trying our very best to help these poor people who are in Austria, who are in Slovenia, and so on and so forth. But it's not that she said, please come to us.
She said last week the situation was under control. She told the television audience.
Yes.
Under control. It's not under control, because your civil servants are telling you it's not under control. A large proportion of asylum seekers are giving false identities in order to stay in Germany. That's not control, is it?
Of course, we have to find it out, and it's difficult. And now we have started procedures in order to manage it. But it was not possible in such a short period of time to make it everything perfect. How you want us to do it? Because I mean, nobody.
But this is considerably less than perfect, isn't it? Some of the translators don't understand different Arabic dialects. A few of them have less than 10 days training. Tens of thousands of refugees won't even register. They won't even tell you their names.
Sir,
so how
I
do
have
you know
to ask you one simple
are?
question: where do you want us to put them back? To what place?
It's not up to me to decide. I'm talking about a system that you say is under control, and your own civil servants are telling you
the refugees are not just at the border. They're also already in Germany, and they have to get registered over there, because otherwise they don't get any help. And that's one of the ways to control it, and that's what we do in all the refugee camps. I was just visiting one refugee camp in my constituency. And, well, we're doing quite some hard controls over there. But it's a problem, of course, I accept it, because it's not so many people speaking Farsi and other languages, and in order to find out who or what kind of dialect the refugees are speaking.
As we're having this conversation, in the week after the Paris attacks, your system is out of control, isn't it?
No, I do not agree that it's out of control. It's improvable, yes. But it's not out of control.
Your own intelligence chief, Hans-Georg Maaßen, says it's possible there are also terrorists coming with the refugees. It's possible.
Yes.
Are you happy with that possibility?
No, of course I'm not happy with it. And that's one of the reasons.
That's
one of the reasons. Yesterday we have decided that our Secret Service is getting another 500 people in addition.
Well, how long is that going to take to come on stream?
The problem is we do not have too much unemployment in Germany, so we have to find them first.
Meanwhile, the system is not working. I mean,
we have to try to make it working.
is calling for orderly procedures regarding the entry to Germany and the implementation of asylum procedures. He's calling for them because you don't have them.
We are trying to improve it in each and every day, because we have installed new systems. 3,000 people in the so-called refugee organization, the BAMF, Bundesamt for Migrants. And we have another 3,000 coming into this, and I hope they are working.
But until this new system comes on stream, your people are at risk, aren't they? Your people are at risk.
So far, I don't think we are at risk, because nothing has happened in Germany at all.
Radical Islamists are approaching the new refugees. He's warning. They're already approaching the new refugees to recruit them. This is already taking place. He's seen more than 100 cases of this.
I think it's much more difficult if French people are doing these attacks than refugees, because refugees is not so fast. And I do not believe that we have refugees coming in who are all radicals. I don't believe it. And as far as what we know is concerned, we don't see this. And our Secret Service is trying to control as much as
But they're warning you. The intelligence is warning you. The bureaucrats are warning you. This isn't working. And you're saying, yes, but you know, the danger is low. If the attack had happened in Berlin, I mean, 129 lives are lost, more than 350 people injured in Paris.
It's more than terrible.
If we were having,
needless to
God
say,
forbid, this conversation after a similar attack in Berlin, you'd be saying something different, wouldn't you?
It's not.
You don't know whether
Berlin's
going to be attacked.
I say it's really terrible, and we want to help the French people, and there's really a lot of intense help for France as much as we can. And Chancellor Merkel was talking to Hollande many times already since the attacks. But one thing is for sure, France has to look into it, why it is French people doing this kind of attacks. The terrorism is coming from France and also Belgium. Not from Germany, not from some refugees in Germany or whatsoever.
But in the meantime, you're not going to change your open door policy.
It's not a question that we want to change our open door policy. What we do is we want to improve the controls
But you're not going to change the policy, are you?
We cannot change it because they are there. They are not coming to us direct from the so-called country where we can close it. They are coming from Austria. And we have an open border with Austria. And we have an open border with Italy. We have an open border with all countries in Europe.
And these tens of thousands who are refusing to give you their name,
to decide,
what are you going to do with them?
Do you want us to decide that we close Schengen? That's not what we want.
But Donald Tusk, President of the European Council, said there are only days left to save Schengen. You may have to give up on Schengen. This is what he's saying. He's warning.
Yes,
Schengen
of course.
Is at risk.
Then we have to decide.
But
this is a decision cannot be made in Germany.
You've suspended Schengen anyway.
We cannot even close the borders because of Schengen. We cannot close the border to France. We cannot close the border to Austria, neither.
So is your precious Schengen policy worth more than the lives of your people and the risk that you're prepared to put them under?
That's something we have to see, whether we have
free
movement of people in Europe. If we want to have free movement of people in Europe, which was one of the assets of the European Treaty.
But is that more important than people's safety?
I don't think so, because I mean we cannot just say yes. Of course, don't mention it again, because I understand very well it's terrible to have lost 129 lives in France. Also, some Germans passed away or have been killed. And you know, I think it is impossible for us to close now all borders in Europe and say, come on, we go back to status quo ante.
How safe is Germany?
I think so far it's quite safe. We do our homework.
One of France's leading terrorist experts, a man called Jean-Charles Brizard from the Paris Center for the Analysis of Terrorism, he said that the refusal of Brussels to tighten the Schengen border controls or implement a system of airline passenger records that countries have been asking for years is a danger. It's a European failure. Why haven't you got these airline passenger records, for instance?
I think that, to my understanding, this could be done easily. I'm pro.
Countries have been asking for it for 10 years. But Europe has been unable, he said, Mr. Brizard says, Europe has been unable to provide governments with the tools they've been asking for more than a decade. Why?
I mean, it's a liberal society in Europe. It's a very liberal society, and now we are facing.
You either want to protect this liberal society or not. It needs protection.
We are facing now new risks and new attacks, and we have to see whether our systems are capable to manage it, to maneuver with it.
Fact is, Mr. Fuchs, that the things were complicated enough with your migrants policy even before Paris, weren't they? We were seeing open rows in the government here, blood running in the corridors of the CDU. One moment the Dublin regulation is suspended, the next moment the Interior Minister brings it back in without telling the Chancellor, and then she supports him after already saying Dublin was obsolete. It's chaos, isn't it?
It's not chaos. I mean,
but this is a pretty chaotic way to run a government, isn't it?
No, I must say it's not true. I mean, Angela Merkel is still the one who's really running the country, and we're all happy.
But Thomas de Maizière, the Interior Minister, reimposed Dublin regulations without telling her, didn't he?
It was a lack of communication, but nothing else.
That's a pretty serious lack of communication.
Well, sometimes lacks of communication happen in this kind of days where everybody has to run and to work like a dog and day and night, and almost on a 24-hour basis. So there might be some lacks of communication, but it's not a really severe crisis. Of course,
and it wasn't a lack of communication that persuaded Wolfgang Schäuble to stoke the fires by calling the flow of refugees an avalanche, was it?
I mean, that's his way to use words, or his wording is not my wording.
How worried are you by the rise in the popularity of the far-right parties here as a result of what's happening?
That's a real problem which I see, but it's in all over Europe. Huh?
Yes, but particularly in Germany.
It's your UKIP as well. It's the same.
But look at Germany. Look at Germany. We have...
Well, we have not
some
even a
polls
third
show
of
the
France.
AfD party now around 9%, 14% in the eastern part of Germany. And you have Alexander Gauland from that party saying it cannot be that we're not protecting our borders and that immigrants are arriving from Syria without being registered. So he's riding the popular mood, isn't he?
I mean, come on.
52%
we are talking about,
of people.
as you said, we are talking about 9% of the German population. UKIP is much bigger in the UK. Le Pen is much bigger in France. In all other countries, it's much more popular, the right-wing party. So far, we are pretty happy that we only have 9%. But still, we have to fight it.
It's shooting up. You're getting voices in the CDU as well saying this open door policy is going to be harder to sell in the light of what's happening in Paris. What happened?
Of course it is. It is a very difficult situation. We are now, we all know it, but we have to find our way through. And it is not, I don't want to react in a panic way. Panicking is not a good reaction. So stay calm and we find solutions. I'm quite sure Germany can do.
Panic or complacency? Is it a choice between the two?
No. I think Germany is capable to make it, and I'm pretty optimistic.
France is asking for military aid, bilateral military aid.
They said
from EU countries. Is it going to get it from Germany?
We already do it.
France says it's a war. What are you doing?
We already do it. I mean, look at what we do with the Kurds and Peshmerga. We are having a lot of military people over there training them.
Yeah, but specific military aid in the aftermath of the Paris attack.
Yeah, we do it already. I mean, maybe we do a little bit more, but we do it already. We are already in the region with troops. And we are trying to train the Peshmerga people against the ISIS people, which is quite successful. If you can see that a big part of land has been regained from the ISIS people, like Kobani and things like that. That is because of German military.
Yeah, but you have a coalition of 65 countries now, according to President Obama, who are against ISIS.
Yes.
A year since you all promised to degrade and destroy ISIS. ISIS has doubled the number of foreign recruits that it's getting. It's held on to territory, most of the territory it's had. It lost one city the other week, but it's held on to vast swathes of territory and continues to be a threat, as we saw in Paris. So these 65 countries haven't done much, have they? You haven't done much. Why? Why? 65 countries.
I think Germany has done a lot. Germany has done a lot. We talked to the Turks. We try to improve the situation at the border between Turkey and Syria and things like that. We have done it already. We started already, and all the discussions are going on. The problem is Syria is a very difficult country because of Assad is helped by the Russians, and without the Russians, Assad would be gone instantly, but I don't know even if this would be better, because there are so many different problems, and it's really crazy difficult.
I want to talk to you, if I may.
And it's not only because of that, because it's a situation of many countries involved, and nobody really knows where these ISIS people are getting their money from. It's terrible, and that's something which has to be immediately made, because somebody is buying oil from ISIS people, and this cannot be the case. But it's all smuggled into Syria and into Turkey and other countries. Smuggling, it's very difficult, but we have to fight them.
Herr Fuchs, I want to talk to you about the EU-Africa summit, because obviously the concern is that huge numbers of migrants are coming in from Africa. Basically, you've been trying to outsource the problem to Africa. There's 2 billion euros on offer to the African countries, which they dismissed as really unrealistic. You're trying to buy people to take the problem of refugees off your hands. It's not working, is it?
It's a very difficult situation with Africa. First of all, we also have a terroristic group, the Boko Haram, which is almost the same kind of terrorists like we are having it in other parts of the Iranian and Iraqian area. So there's very dangerous people, and so people are just afraid. They are fleeing because of these Boko Haram.
Yes, but your 2 billion euros isn't going to change the reasons why people are
It's
leaving.
only solving small problems in refugee camps.
It's not going to change the human rights abuses.
We have to fight Boko Haram as we do with ISIS.
Wars, not with 2 billion euros. You're not going to do anything to change the situation that people are fleeing.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a drop in the ocean, isn't it?
It's not a drop in the ocean, but it's quite a big can dropped into the ocean.
Yeah, but it's an excuse for a policy that you don't actually have, isn't it?
No, the policy must be we have to talk to these countries where the terrorists are coming from, like Nigeria.
Talk to the terrorists.
Not to the terrorists, to the, if there is a government, to the rest of the government which we find over there, because that's one of the problems. Look at Libya.
You're also giving money to Turkey, 3 billion euros. Where you're finding all these big handouts, I don't know, and nobody knows, because the EU is supposed to be strapped for cash after the money that's given out to Greece. But you're giving money to Turkey to prevent refugees leaving for Europe. Another 3 billion has been earmarked for Turkey. They have 2 million refugees already.
Turkey.
What are they going to be able to do? How are they going to be able to police your borders or help you police your borders with 3 billion euros? How's that going to help them?
We have to talk to the Turkish people, and as I said at the very beginning of our discussion, we have to solve the problem at the source. Is the country where they're coming from? It's Syria, and it's the other area over there. If you don't
but this is going to take years.
Yes, it is.
You're not going to change the situation this year, next year, in 2 years' time. You talk as if you put out some money there and the situation is going to alter overnight. It's not. It may take 10, 15, 20 years.
I hope we can do it faster, and we have to, as soon as possible, we have to find at least ways that out of the countries where they're coming from, which is, in the meantime, Turkey, and on the other hand, it's of course Libya. And if we don't find a solution for these two areas where they mainly are coming from, then take
Libya. What solution? You don't even know who to talk to. You don't even know which government.
Which government? There is no government.
You just think you write a check and the situation is going to improve.
No, it's not with a check.
But it's not happening, is it? It's not happening.
Do you want us to invade it?
I'm just telling you that the policy that you have, putting to you the policy that you have, isn't going to change.
We have to find a common European solution for that. For me, it would be good to have even a European military force together, and then to fight it.
Hard to find common European positions on anything these days, isn't it?
It's a tough job, and I hope that Mr. Tusk is bringing something forward. It's his job.
It's his job. He's also the one who's warning that Schengen is about to disappear.
I'm not so pessimistic.
You're fighting it, that these are the last hours of Schengen. This is the strong implication from what he's been saying.
I'm not so pessimistic as Mr. Tusk is, but we have to stay together and to do something. If we don't find a European solidarity it doesn't work anymore. And then Europe is falling apart, which I really think it's terrible.
And over the migrants, there's no European solidarity. Look at the East Europeans, look at the border controls
It is no
from
solidarity.
Scandinavia.
But you know,
you
that's
are badly,
one.
the reality is you are badly split on this migrants issue, aren't you? You're badly split.
We are not badly split, but the countries are not taking up their responsibility. And it cannot be that they want us to, well, put them all into Germany and say, come on. It needs to be burden sharing. If there's no burden sharing, then Europe is really falling apart. I'm not willing to accept that no other country in Europe is willing to do some kind of burden sharing. It's necessary that all of us, we are staying together. If not, then Europe is really falling apart and we are suffering, all of us.
Michael Fuchs, good to have you on Conflict Zone. Thank you very much indeed.